Hey future CPAs, welcome back to another video. Today's video I'll be talking about how I went from D1 athlete to CPA. You guys may be wondering, how'd you even get into accounting, all that kind of stuff. I'll talk about that whole shindig in this video. So going back in elementary school, I was interested in basketball because my older brother played basketball. That was just like the thing. I seen him play it. I used to watch it. I loved it. I don't know what I liked about it, but I just did. And my dad was his AU coach at the time. However, he did not want me to play. He was like, it's too political. Basketball is a very subjective sport. But he did want me to do track. And I was very hesitant. I was like, you know what? I don't want to do track. That's not what I like. I told you I like basketball. But he was very headstrong in wanting me to do track. So as any other kid would probably do, I listened to my dad, my parents, and I did track for about 4 or 5 years maybe. Did it for a while. I was really good at it. I was ranked in the nation. I would place in nationals and all that kind of stuff. I was a long distance runner, but I hated it. And I was getting to the point in the sport to where I had to put in a lot of work, but I didn't want to put in that work because I didn't actually love it. And to stay at the top in anything that you're doing, there's people that trying to catch you and you're trying to catch other people. So I realized I didn't want to put in the work, but I knew I would, if this was basketball, I would love to put in the work because I just love doing it. So fast forward maybe a couple months after the end of, I think I would call this the 5th season of me running track, I told my dad, I said, hey, look, like, I don't want to do this no more. Like, I told you I want to do basketball. And he made a deal. He said, you know, so if this is something that you want to pursue, you have to be all in. Like, I'm going to train you hard. This is what it's going to be. And I said, okay, like, I know how to work hard. Like, that's nothing. I was like, okay, yeah, like, you're going to get everything out of me. And so from that day on, it was 6th or 7th grade, I started doing basketball full time, only focused on basketball. And I was going to play my 7th grade in middle school, but my dad, he wanted me to have like a season of just working out with him, focusing on working out and not trying to play games and all that kind of stuff, just focusing on the skills, mastering the basic skills. And so we did that, started playing in 8th grade, and then played all throughout until college. So I played in high school, got my first basketball scholarship my sophomore year in high school. And best feeling ever. I remember that day, the feelings that I had when I got my first scholarship offer, just knowing that my parents didn't have to pay for school. I knew that for a shot of a doubt. You know, whatever school I did pick now, it was going to be a school that had offered me a full ride, so my parents didn't have to worry about paying for college. Because, little caveat, I am a triplet, so that helped my parents with kind of paying for school, knowing that they were going to send 3 kids to college at the same time. So yeah, getting back on track, I went to Winthrop University on a full-ride basketball scholarship. I also got my associate's degree when I was in high school, so I went to Winthrop University with my associate's degree, so I had around 80-something credits, so I went in academically as a junior, but athletically as a freshman. And to kind of go back a little bit, when I was in community college classes, I took accounting classes. So I took the first 2 basic accounting classes, financial accounting, managerial accounting. And it just made sense to me. I don't know, it was just like a big puzzle, and my brain just got the concepts. And so also knowing the career avenues that I could go down, basically kind of how the industry was, I was like, okay, like, as far as like it's kind of recession proof, you're always going to need auditors, and that it allowed me to be in the business world, which at that time I thought that would be something that I would enjoy. So I was like, okay, like, I know what I'm going to major in when I get to college, and that's what I majored in. I majored in accounting, and I majored in economics because I liked economics as well. I took some of those classes when I was in community college. And my first year at Winthrop, as far as basketball wise, was tough. I played like the first couple games, got injured, and it was like this weird quad injury where we couldn't really understand or figure out what was going on. And so I missed a couple games, and then right after that, right when I came back, I think a game or 2 after that, I got hurt. I got a concussion, broke nose, It was the probably one of the worst injuries I've had. Never broke. Well, I did break a bone in middle school, but it was a finger. But probably one of the worst injuries I had thus far, and I was in concussion protocol for about 5 weeks. I tried to come back again at the end of the season, and then at the end of the season in one practice, I sprained my ankle pretty bad, and then I missed the rest of the season. And throughout this season, it was very tumultuous. A lot of things was going on internally within the team as well. So the AD at the end of the season said, "Hey, look, we know a lot is going on. So if people want to stay for another year, you can, and you'll still be on basketball scholarship technically, but you won't have to go to practice. You won't really have to do any of the basketball related stuff, but we'll still pay for your school." And I only had 1 year left of school because, like I said, I came in with my associate's degree. I only had 1 year left, so I decided to accept that offer and really just focus on school that next semester, or that next year of school. Graduated in the spring of 2019. Yeah, spring of 2019 at 20 years old. And then I was like, you know what? I'll get my master's in accounting. And so that's what I did. I got my master's in accounting at NC State. Like you guys seen me talk about in my previous video. Got my master's in accounting. I graduated in 2020, right when the pandemic hit, and I then started my full-time job at PwC. And the fall semester of my master's of accounting program, that's when I started my CPA journey. And so started my CPA journey in the fall of 2019, going into spring 2020, and I finished up almost a year later, December 15th, 2021. 2021? No, 2020. Yeah, so it took me almost a full year to finish all 4 parts of the CPA exams. A lot of hard conversations I had to say with myself as far as not studying hard enough or not having the right study habits. It was really, the CPA exam was probably the hardest thing I've done besides trying to get a basketball scholarship. That's how difficult it is. And it's really because the amount of mental anguish, emotional turmoil that you have to go through within yourself. A lot of people aren't going to understand why you're isolating, why you have to study all the time. So that was a lot of the, I feel like the hardest things of going through this process, was really just having to kind of be in this, I guess, this zone. I like to call it this zone, whereas nothing else pretty much matters but this goal that you have set out for yourself. And so in the next part of this video, I kind of want to talk about some of the similarities that I noticed that I took from both trying to get a basketball scholarship, but then also trying to pass these CPA exams. So the first thing I feel like is one of the biggest similarities between the two is how much work goes into it. I think a lot of people see, people say, "Oh, I got a scholarship here or a scholarship there," and I think a lot of times people don't see the work that goes on behind the scenes. And for me, being also undersized, I was a point guard, and I'm 5'4", so I'm not the tallest, not even for a girl. I'm pretty short. So, and then it's also coupled with that, I started late to be kind of focusing on basketball. A lot of girls was playing, earlier than me, and so to be trying to get into a sport in 7th, 8th grade, it was difficult. But the thing that my dad focused on was you have to put in the work, and that's all he kept saying every day in and day out. He was like, hard work. You got to put in the work. There's no way to circumvent it. There's no way to get around it. If this is what you want to do, you have to sacrifice. While people are sleeping, you got to be working. While people are going out on the weekends and doing other things, you have to be working. And so that was my mentality all throughout my many years in middle school and in high school. While everybody was doing other things, I was focusing on basketball drills. I was focusing on getting shots in. I was focusing on doing everything possible to attain this goal. And it was difficult. But I knew that I wanted to hear those words come out of a coach's mouth saying, "Hey, look, we want to offer you a 4-year scholarship." And so when I finally heard those words, it felt like everything was worth it. And that's the same way I felt when I passed those CPA exams, was when I when you're going through it, it seems like it's so far away. But then once you get to that end goal of, hey, look, you passed all 4 parts of CPA exam, there's no other feeling like it. And also too, you can't really tell people what it's like going through it. It's something that people have to experience for themselves. And so I would say it just comes with a lot of sacrifice, a lot of self-discipline, a lot of self-motivation. Because at the end of the day, people can want things for you, but if you don't want it for yourself, truly, it's not going to happen. So you have to be self-motivated. When nobody else is telling you to do something, you have to be the one to tell yourself to do it. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you're going to be the one benefiting from having reached your goal. And then the second biggest thing was, this is an everyday thing. I think sometimes people think that when you're trying to reach these goals, it's I can do it once I can do it once this day, take a couple of days off, do it once this day, no. Like when I was playing basketball, I was working out 7 days a week. I mean, at least doing something. On Sundays, that might have been my rest day. Still making free throws, making at least 100 free throws, doing form shooting. It was just like the littlest things that some people wouldn't think was important. Like that's what I'd have to do. And the same thing applied for the CPA exams. Even days when I didn't want to study, I would do a little bit of flashcards. I would do a little bit of multiple choice questions. It might not have been 100, but it might have been a set of 25, or it might have been me reviewing my notes. I mean, these are things that you have to do over and over and over and over and over again, so it's muscle memory to where you don't even have to think about it. And you want the material to be so ingrained in your brain for the CPA exams, but you also want, as far as basketball is concerned, you want the movements to be fluid. You want your form to be crisp. You want your ball handling to be tight. And it's a day in and day out process that if you are the type of person that gets bored with consistency and just doing the same things over again, it's going to be difficult. But if you are someone who enjoys the process of trying to perfect something, even though we know perfection isn't attainable, so where this is what you're striving for, you're going to be okay. Because it's an everyday wake up, eat and breathe this stuff, because this is something that's important to you. Not to say anything else in my life wasn't important, because I did try and make time. I did make time for other things that was important to me. But I also knew that my days were structured around this one goal that I was trying to attain, and not the other way around. And the third point is, you will have setbacks. That is a given. You will have moments where it feels difficult, where it feels like you're not understanding a concept for the CPA exams. You might have just struggled with the set of multiple choice questions that you did. But failure is a good thing. It was hard for me to understand that too. But failing, if you're not failing, your goals aren't high enough. If you're not failing, you're not learning. So you'd actually rather fail, especially in practice, or when you're doing practice questions for the CPA exams, for that matter, because that is before you prepare. That's helping you prepare for the real test. And the same would be for basketball. My dad would tell me, if you're not failing, you don't have anything else to get better at. And so if you're failing, that means you have something to get better at. So let's go. And he was the hardest person on me, but having someone being hard on you is probably the best thing that you have, because those are the people that's going to tell you how it is. And even when I started failing some of the CPA exams, I had to be my hardest critic, and I had to tell myself and be honest with myself that you're not doing enough. I didn't want to hear it, but I knew I needed to hear it. You're not doing enough. You're not doing something right to help you pass. And it wasn't to be negative. It was to be self-critical to get me to pass. And that's eventually what happened, is I passed all 4. But I don't think I would have gotten there if I wasn't hard on myself to make sure that I made the proper adjustments to then get the passing score. But needless to say, for those who might be trying to get that D1 scholarship, or you're trying to pass the CPA exam, it's all in the same. Number 1, stay consistent with whatever you're trying to do. Number 2, you got to block out the noise. Stay focused on what you're trying to accomplish. Know that nothing is going to deter you or stop you from reaching that goal. The only person that can stop you is really yourself. Number 3, there will be setbacks. That's a given. Just how you respond from those setbacks is really what determines the outcome of whatever goal that you're trying to reach. So for those studying for the CPA exams, keep studying hard. If you're failing, or if you have failed, I know what you're going through, or I know what you did go through. And keep your head up. Better days are ahead, for sure. But hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it was somewhat helpful to you, motivational to you. Know that you within yourself have everything that it takes to accomplish that goal that you're trying to get. You just have to trust in yourself and put in the work, and everything will happen the way you want it to happen. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If there's anything else you guys want to hear me talk about, please let me know in the comment section. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I will be posting another video soon. Bye.